Hello, everyone. We are going to begin the press conference in just a little bit. If anyone has any questions, please post them in chat shortly, and I will be getting to the official statement in just a minute. At approximately 4:30 p.m. on May 8th, 2016, that was a Sunday, we lifted off successfully with the Scorpius Solaris spacecraft in Project Scorpius with the Independence 7 model of the spacecraft. A couple hours into the flight, we experienced some problems and noticed that we had overburned to too high of an apoapsis, meaning that our orbit was too high. After noticing this problem, we attempted to fix it, and it resulted in an emergency abort of the mission. A little while after that, it was presumed hopeless for the survival of the astronaut. Thankfully, before life support ran out, we were able to fix the orbit and bring it down to the proper altitude for reentry, and landed in the area of Mexico around the Texas border. This was accomplished by pointing normal and then using the rotational thrusters to bring it to burn retrograde. There were no lateral thrusters uh, used in the spacecraft because it was thought to be not needed, and that was now changed to being needed at that point, though it was too late to actually change that on the spacecraft. The pilot is alive. That is the official statement from Real Space Program. Our pilot is indeed alive. I repeat, the pilot is alive and safe. Touchdown was approximately 12 hours after launch, possibly more, likely more. Yeah, it was more than that. I do not have the exact hours. It was after that, actually. I do not have the exact hours. I apologize on that. My apologies on that. Um, We are going to be making this official statement saying that we will not be doing any manned flights until further notice, though it is not the end of manned flights. Manned flights will continue after we have successfully fixed all problems that occurred during the launch. The next mission is currently in planning for a moon flyby that should be in the next month around, possibly a little bit longer. This is also the end of the Scorpius Solaris and Scorpius in general. It will be put to bed and no longer used. That mission was plagued with problems, and we will admit right now that the launch should have been aborted in the first place, and it should have been scrubbed. However, it was not and did end up launching. So, thankfully, however, we did manage to bring our pilot back alive, though there is a though there was the possibility of the loss of our pilot, which is not accepted and will not be accepted for future missions, which is why we are currently suspending those missions that are manned. Now, there is the possibility of manned missions in the future, as I said before, but it is not something that is going to be happening immediately. If anyone has any questions, please post them in chat. We will be taking any relevant questions. If you would like to ask any of those, we are open to them. On another note, there has been a change in several different systems after this launch abort. Well, not launch abort, my apologies. I misspoke there. After this mission abort, after we were already in orbit. My apologies on that. Something 42. The launch did not go as planned. How will that affect the planning of future missions besides the fact that manned launches are suspended? Well, that's a very good question. We have been working since Sunday on completely redoing how we do a lot of our planning and a lot of our working on just making sure the missions work correctly. We are going to be overhauling the way we have our programs connected so that we're using the correct software and the most up-to-date software. And we are also making sure that we are not we have a row of pilots, even if it's not manned, because we still need someone to be running everything and making sure it's going correctly. Um, the Any unmanned launches are very similar to manned launches, except for the fact that we do not need to return. It's not a vital thing. Uh, so we will be using a very similar method, just we won't have to worry about life support, so it's more of a change in design of the boosters that we're using and different things like that. Also, uh, just remember that they're not suspended completely and that they will be coming back eventually. With that, we will be definitely taking the utmost care in making sure that the missions do go to plan, including making sure that we have several tests before anything that we actually have launch, because we definitely need to make sure we have safety in place, and we're going to be working on some of the aspect of making sure that we can keep everything up, all the communication better, and uh, and anything else like that, because communication was definitely a problem at that point, and that is something we are making public at this point, is that we are working on our communication and making sure that everyone is on the same page because of last minute changes that were made before the flight. And those last minute changes should have meant that we would have scrubbed. Had we scrubbed at that point, the mission would have likely gone as planned at another date. Other than that, that is pretty much how we're changing everything. We're going to be using GitHub likely for making sure that our programs are correct and that so that everything is in sync. And if anyone has any other questions, I would be glad to answer them. And thank you, Something 42. And on another side note relating to public affairs, we are going to be, for the next possible press conference that we will have, because we will be continuing to do these after different launches, um, we will be having a new specialized press person with us working on actually running those press conferences. So we will have Andem there with us. And Mad Rocket Scientist, in the real world mission control, controllers try to avoid taking action until the problem is fully understood. Will something like this be added to the mission control rules in the future? Absolutely. And again, a very, very good question. We are definitely working very hard in making sure that we can uh, get those changes in place. Again, this is why we have suspended the manned launches the, the for the near future, because we are reevaluating all of this and making sure that we can put it into something that we can A, communicate better, that we can B, understand what is going on fully, and C, that we can have all of the mission controllers in sync with what is going on. Because when we have that, that ensures that we have a successful mission. And once we have that, we will be able to go beyond this and go into orbits around Mars, Venus, or any other planets around here, or even possibly Mercury. I don't know. But again, uh, we're, we have been changing all of those different rules, the mission control rules, quite a bit lately. We've been revising them, making sure that they are very understandable, and that that it's very clear to those who are new and just joining with us that you need to have A, B, and C, and it needs to be like this. And if you cannot do that, try to look at another role, or we cannot help. Your services be will not work correctly for us, because that is one of the things that uh, contributed to the mission failure. But that part is definitely something we're working on. And thank you for the question, Mad Rocket Scientist. And you're very welcome for the answer, Mad Rocket Scientist. I am very glad to answer any questions that we have, and if anyone else has another question, if you're in the middle of typing that, completely understood. And we will gladly answer any questions until we run out of them. Also, if you would like to view the video that we have of the successful recovery of our the mission, then I'm just going to quickly post the link in chat, and you can view it there. Now, if you're just watching this in the post, like after this has been streamed and you're watching the recording, then you can just type that link into the browser. Well, it will work. It'll just be a tiny bit harder, but I have purposely posted the short link there. Quid bro quo, I think is how you pronounce that. When does anything start here and today? I'm not quite sure what you mean there. I apologize if it's something that should be obvious. Um, if you could just elaborate a bit more on what you're wondering, then that would be awesome. Also, a quick bit regarding the stability of KSP, we are going to be switching to 1.1 for the next launches. So if anyone has made a payload in 1.0.5 or earlier, please make sure that that works in 1.1 because that is what we will be using from now on. And that means that everything will be much more stable and we will hopefully get a better frame rate out of KSP and therefore have a higher quality stream. And quid pro quo, I don't know if that's how you pronounce that. Um, are you wondering when the launch is slash was? Because the launch already did happen, if that's what you're wondering. Um, other than that, I can't really tell what you're asking, so if you could please elaborate on that. Thank you. Okay, from the viewer list, it appears that he has left, so I am not going to be able to answer that question. If anyone has any more questions, that would be awesome. Other than that, the stream will be ending relatively soon if I do not get any more questions in the next like 5 minutes. Okay, that will be ending the press conference for today. Thank you all for watching and asking your questions, and thank you everyone for supporting RSP. And remember that this can be watched back on the Twitch channel for a period of 30 days. And then after that, you can go onto the YouTube link, which will be provided in the Real Space Program thread. Thank you everyone again for watching and asking your questions, and the stream will be ending soon. Oh, sorry. When is the next launch due? That is currently unknown, but because it is still in its early phases of development. But when we get that, we will have that in the Real Space Program forum thread, which I will link right here. And sorry that I almost cut you off there. Just give me 1 second, and I will post that there. So if you go to that thread, you will be able to see the you'll be able to see when the launch date is posted. I do recommend following it, though there is definitely quite a bit of chatter that goes on there. Um, however, it is a good idea to follow it. Also, other than that, I think that will be ending the stream. I hope I'm not cutting anyone off again. But thank you everyone again for watching and supporting RSP. Uh, now the stream will be ending momentarily.